Hello, I'm Chrissy.
And I'm Caroline, and we're interior designers. More and more people are asking us about what we do and how we do it.
Which brings us to our new design adventure, the Design Duet. Join us as we discuss the ins and outs and the ups and downs of interior design.
Welcome, Chrissy.
Hello again. How are you, Kaz?
Good. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Good to hear. Now, we've got a new podcast today that we're going to bring out. It's all on interior design trends for 2025.
Exciting.
It is exciting.
I like talking trends.
Great. Because we've noticed that there's been a real shift happening in interior design in 2025, and we're excited about it. And it's great, but we're going to break it all down. What's emerging, what's happening, what's making a comeback, and here's what we've got to say.
We've been noticing some big changes, bolder colours,
Yep.
vintage influences, sustainability, well, that's always on trend. Wellness spaces, there's so much to cover, so let's get into it, Kaz. Let's firstly talk about the bold return of colour.
Okay, let's do it. It feels like designers are moving away from the soft neutrals and leaning towards bolder, richer tones. Have you noticed this, Chrissy?
I have definitely noticed it in everything, Kaz.
Well, this is music to my ears. Since I love colour, and I have always loved colour.
You do. We're seeing deep, saturated colours like eggplant, burgundy, French navy, teal, and burnt orange being used for entire rooms, not just on walls, Kaz. Coloured trenching is a huge trend. I keep seeing this everywhere now.
What is that, Chrissy?
It's where walls, ceilings, skirting boards, all sorts of framing in your room, they're all painted the same shade for sort of a cocooning effect.
And why do you think this is?
I don't know. Talking to you about this before, I think it's a direct result of the pandemic, of people wanting to feel safe and protected in their home environment. I think potentially that's how it's come about. I mean, it's obviously been around for forever, but no one's really used it for a while, have they?
No, they haven't. And I love that even one room, just
with a feature colour.
A feature colour. I think that's fantastic. And have you found that, with wallpaper as well?
Definitely. A lot of ceiling wallpaper. I've seen a lot of that
Love it.
in magazines especially. I'm like, wow, here we go again.
Fantastic. And also I've noticed that a lot of blues and greens in all shades in areas that, perhaps we wouldn't have put it in. But it's made a big, strong comeback because we've noticed it especially in cabinetry, I would say in kitchens and in bathrooms and laundries. Tiles, absolutely. And even in places like studies, that often have a lot of cabinetry.
Yes.
We've noticed a lot of cabinets have been done in colour. But like you say, a big, big change is happening with tiles. But is it confidence? Do you think it's...
Oh, definitely.
So people have got more confidence to use
definitely
colour in tiles.
And again, since the pandemic, people want to feel happy. They don't want to feel scared and fearful. They want to be happy and joyful. And colour is joyful and happy, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes you feel bright and energetic and good.
So true.
Life.
And I definitely have noticed, with this big, 2025 colour trend, that people are definitely moving away from the greys, black and white.
Grey on grey.
Grey on grey, and even your whites, having all, tones of whites and creams. It seems to be people are confident in using colour. So as a result, they're using it in everything.
Yes.
Not just painting, it is also included in, as we said, cabinetry, tiles, in their artwork.
Yes.
In rugs and, furniture.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. It's people are wanting it.
Yeah, and enjoying it more.
Enjoying it. It's a huge trend. What about, Caroline, vintage, nostalgia and art deco influences? We're also noticing a huge revival of this, of vintage elements, particularly from the 70s. People are bringing in nostalgia, but in a fresh, modern way. In furniture, timber coffee tables, lamps and art.
Absolutely.
Really noticing that kind of vintage element in furniture.
Because I've noticed that a lot of art deco pieces have been introduced into more contemporary homes even.
Yeah, it's definitely having a moment.
It really is. And, noticed it, even in lighting, Art Deco lighting, because, designers are playing, with more motives and patterns and in an unexpected way. And also, they're repurposing pieces.
Definitely.
Which is great. We always love that. Reupholstering, old pieces and keeping them, which is fantastic because we love doing that. Sustainable pieces in your home and reusing, repurposing, it's very important.
Bringing them back to life.
Absolutely.
And they're, often quite individual pieces.
Yeah.
Which is a trend.
Absolutely. And even art, like having your grandma's or your auntie, your great aunts or your mum, dad's, piece of art and just having it reframed.
Yes.
And I think a lot more older pieces are being, put into more contemporary homes.
Definitely.
I think it's great because it adds personality.
That's right. People are definitely personalising their spaces, and that is just a huge trend. As you just said, vintage art is just getting a refresh, and it just makes it feel more contemporary. It's just so great to mix old with new and sustainable and individual, and it's everything we love, isn't it?
Absolutely. When you say artwork, are you meaning painted pieces or are you thinking like vintage posters as well?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've noticed my children are in their early 30s and late 20s, and they still can't really afford, to spend big on art, but they'll get a poster and get it framed, and it just pops, doesn't it?
Yeah, fantastic.
And not just one, like they seem to have quite a collection. They sort of they're collectors of posters and
that's so nice, isn't it?
I just think, no longer, like I know when we were younger, mum and dad said, here, you can have this picture to put on your wall because, you'll need something and we don't, we're happy for you to have it.
Yeah.
These kids, no, they're
hand-me-downs aren't
confident. Yeah, hand-me-downs are gone. They're more confident to get the purchase, have a purchase of, some posters, maybe a little bit of art, but and just framing it in unique ways.
And I've noticed in our work, a lot of people are enjoying, framing individual pieces,
Yes.
whether it's something from your childhood or, a gorgeous, little ceramic or,
definitely
a little boat from, grandpa or things like that.
Yep, I've had a bit of that recently too, and it's just so sentimental. Again, it's about personalising your space, and it's sentimental, and so they want it to just mean so much more to them. So that's why they're reframing it to bring it back to life.
I love that, and it is a talking point too. And we often say, to clients, especially in the dining room, those personal things people will talk about. If you have run out of a conversation.
Well, they tell a story.
Don't
they? And it's so much more interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I'm with you on that.
Definitely. What about this trend of textured walls and ceilings?
Well, it's texture has made a huge comeback. Again, loving that. An example of textured walls is Venetian plastering. That's absolutely made a huge comeback.
Well, we used to have that, in the late 90s and the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Lime washing.
Exactly.
But it's just so much more sophisticated now, isn't it?
It definitely is. And doing whole areas, not just one wall, peeps.
No.
Not just that feature wall, thank the Lord. Where, we're doing a whole room or a whole space or an area.
A bit like colour drenching of Venetian plastering.
Yeah, fantastic. Love it.
Especially in hospitality, don't you reckon?
Yes. Yeah, in restaurants, you see it so much more in cafes and, areas like, function areas as well.
Giving it a glow up.
And what about textured finishes, Chrissy?
I love it because it's not what's on the wall. I mean, we were just talking about artwork and posters and so on, but there is this trend now. It's not what's on the wall, it's how the wall makes you feel.
Yeah, it's so true.
I just think it's like a work of art itself, having like a Venetian wall, and people are lighting them up, Kaz.
Yeah, they are not putting pieces of art on there.
They're not putting art there.
Yeah,
it's a very sophisticated look, and
it is.
And I like it. I must say.
And lime washing.
Well, if it's done well,
Yes.
you really need a specialised, let's say, tradesperson to do a good lime wash wall.
It's so true.
Not like what we had like decades ago.
Yes,
where
you're
it was all
right.
mottled.
Yes, that's right. And I'm finding that, there is specialised people who can do this work.
Yes.
You and I have used a fantastic company, Scanlon and Scanlon, recently,
Yeah.
and they are absolutely amazing.
They're in Melbourne.
They are
Yes.
a group of women actually.
Yes.
And they're all artisans.
Yes.
And they have done an extraordinary job. And I feel like in this particular house that we did it in, it's added. And this was one thing that the client actually said to me when the job was complete. He's a businessman. Not only did he and his wife love the finish, and it made them feel great, but his second comment was, it actually has added value to our home.
Definitely, because it's a work of art
It
in
is.
itself that stays there forever now.
It is, yeah, definitely.
And they didn't put any art on that wall, did they?
No. But there is some existing cabinetry, so we worked around the cabinetry.
Yes.
And so what's happened is it's made the cabinet and what's on the cabinet actually pop.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's such a great effect. I really like it. Caroline, there's a trend for wellness and relaxation spaces, which perhaps is, extravagant.
Well, wellness at home is becoming a big priority, isn't it, Chrissy?
Well, especially since COVID.
Yes.
It really is. We're seeing dedicated spaces for relaxation, spa rooms, red light therapy, saunas, even yoga and meditation areas.
Gyms.
Yep, gyms. The trend is toward open, naturally lit spaces with indoor plants, creating a real sense of calm and retreat at home. What do you think about this?
Well, a lot of people could probably say about this is it's quite extravagant. And it is. It's not for everybody.
No. If you can do it, though.
If you can do it, why wouldn't you? You know, if you are at home a lot and enjoy your space at home, I would definitely go for it. If I could, yeah, without a doubt. One-stop shop for me. People who are time poor, that would be awesome. But then on the other hand, I will say it is personal.
Yes.
But some people do love to get out of the home to enjoy doing these things.
Yeah, because I don't think I would do it if it was at home.
Okay.
I have to be pushed to do it.
Okay.
Pushed out the door, perhaps.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm saying to you, it's such a personal thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you are used to going to the gym and it's, a social part of your life.
Yeah, part of your routine.
Part of your routine, and you get up in the morning knowing that you have to be there at 7 a.m. I think that's important to a lot of people in their lives.
But do you see this as a trend, or has this always been there?
Well, it's always been there, but, think about it. In the 80s, 70s, when people had a sauna and they would have their own home gym, if you like.
Yeah.
But also a solarium.
Oh, my goodness.
Remember that was so it was.
Don't do that, people.
Exactly.
It'll kill you.
Okay. But it's definitely always been there. But I think it seems to be now on steroids.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like people are concentrating on, when they're doing a renovation, this would be included.
Yes. So everything we're talking about in terms of trends of 2025, I feel like some of these trends are still a direct result from COVID.
Okay.
An after effect of how that made us feel and how we want to feel.
Yeah. No, fair call.
With the colour.
Yeah.
Moving to bold and, cocooning walls with colour drenching. Don't you think?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. And I feel like, we often now, and even with our clients and, definitely in our podcasts that we've been doing recently, we are talking about before and after COVID.
Definitely.
Yeah, so it used to be a conversation we didn't have,
No.
know. So now more so we're talking about before and after.
It's like when people would speak about the war, before the Second World War and after the Second World War, for instance.
It is a big thing.
It's a thing.
It is.
And it's affected our lives, and it's affected the way we decorate and design.
Yep.
Most
and
definitely.
Live. Yeah.
And therefore affects trends.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, good point.
Well, let's move on to sustainability and eco-conscious design.
Well, sustainability isn't just a trend anymore. It's becoming a fundamental part of every project that we do especially,
Yes.
and I'm sure others will agree.
Exactly. Clients are asking more questions where materials come from, whether they're non-toxic, vegan, or made from natural fibres, and so they should. Repurposing and reducing waste are a very big focus. It's still possible, though, to create stunning spaces while being mindful of environmental impact.
So when you say, Chrissy, where materials are coming from, where do you where they're coming from, like country or
both?
Okay.
Whether they're being ethically made, like are they coming from a plantation forest? Are they coming from forests where they shouldn't be chopping trees down?
Sure.
It could mean anything.
Yeah. Often companies will have a rating on this.
Yes, that's right.
And it needs to have that stamp.
Yes.
So that we can clearly see exactly, what it's about, where it's come from.
Yep.
And in fact, anybody can actually see that information.
Yeah.
Any clients can access that information, and so can we.
That's right. And then this goes back to the vintage and nostalgic pieces.
Yeah.
People are like, hey, that piece that I've got sitting there, I'm going to paint it because I know where it came from 80 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's cool and I want to keep it.
Yeah.
So we've got that factor, and then we've got
history.
Where are these materials actually coming from?
Yeah.
What have they damaged in the process of making a piece of furniture? That's what we're looking at now.
Absolutely. And people are talking more about landfill.
Definitely.
And, how people just don't love the thought of that.
No, I still think there's a lot of room for improvement in commercial environments.
But that's only time, do you think?
True, but in residential, homeowners are much more aware of this issue.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
And it's, without a doubt, I can, say to you, even with our suppliers that we see, it's the number one thing that they talk about. That's how often they sell their product to us.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about fast furniture.
Yeah.
I think our clients are moving away from fast furniture that you're going to get rid of in 2 years. And we talk to our clients about this. We say, is this piece going to be for 5 years? Is this going to be for 10 years? Is this a generational piece? And they're now making conscious decisions, don't you think?
Yes.
About not using the fast furniture that's only there for 2 years and then going into landfill.
Yeah. And that is a conversation we have with every client.
Definitely.
And I think it's a good one because we would love every client to always say to us, it's generational.
Yes.
And, that's music to our ears because when we are having things custom made, for example, or we're purchasing it from a supplier, we want it to be made beautifully and we want the best piece we can possibly have for our clients and for them to be able to keep.
That's right.
Repurpose.
It obviously, budget is a factor here because these pieces that are generational will obviously cost more.
Yes.
But so much more worth it in the long run.
Yeah, definitely.
You're going to buy that fast piece of furniture 20 times over.
So then as a result, it becomes more personal.
That's right.
And, your individual space becomes more you.
That's right, which is a trend of 2025.
Correct.
Personalised spaces. Let's talk about personalised and individual spaces.
Well, more than ever, people seem to be steering away from trends and instead focusing on what reflects them and their personality.
It's so true. Interiors are becoming, shall we say, more tailored, Caroline. It's about creating a home that feels authentic rather than just following what's in at the moment.
Finally,
there's confidence out there.
Yeah, and I think that, like you said before, it is a confidence thing. And, finally it's happening. I hope it doesn't put us out of a job. But I think people need people like us, to steer them in the right direction.
Help with their decision
and help
process.
them. Yeah, and also combat what their actual personality is.
Yes,
yes. So often people say to us, I don't know whether that's really me. And then we might say, well, it is you because look at your house, what you've got in your home, what is existing.
Or they say, I really love a particular style and they're not quite sure how to get that into their house as a reflection of themselves.
Yes.
And that's where we come into it.
Absolutely.
Caroline, Well, curves have been around for a while now. They've made a big comeback in the last 5 years. What about waves, scallops, and even fringing? We're seeing a lot of it.
Well, curves aren't going anywhere, are they, Chrissy?
Definitely not, thank God.
Okay.
They've moved beyond just walls and kitchens and benches. We're seeing them in furniture, decorative pieces, mirrors, cushions, even lampshades.
Well, that could actually be everything that you talked about then. Could be the curves, the waves, scallops and fringing.
That's right.
In all those pieces, artwork included.
Yep. Well, it's a soft sculptural look to a space, isn't it?
It is.
Also good when your kitchen bench is a curve, less bumping into and getting a bruise.
That
for
would be
people
you.
like me. Yeah,
Yes.
it is. It's just so much softer and inviting, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think that
just
seems
love
to
it.
be a big trend, but it's going back to what we had, generations past, what was in your home and what was in, your sunken lounge rooms.
Yes,
and,
yes.
I think that's where it's lovely that it's come back around.
Well, and like scalloping and like fringing, I'm seeing it a lot in lampshades that are quite individual, which, goes with our personalised spaces trend. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And like even bed linen, I'm noticing striped, fringed valances.
What's a valance, Chrissy?
Well, it's the
bed skirt.
Bed skirt, yes.
Yeah.
Had to think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, noticing a lot of fringing there.
And what
a
else?
lot of pattern play.
Where else have you seen fringing on?
Cushions.
Yep.
But that's always in style for us.
Yeah, true.
But I have seen more of it lately.
Yeah, and bath towels. I know that you've got them at your house.
Yes. Love it.
Yep.
Just that extra detail.
And I always love, adding a fringe
Yes.
onto, a leading edge of a beautiful.
What's a leading edge, Caroline?
Yep. So that would be on your curtains or on your drapes. It would be the outside edge.
Yeah, it's like a border.
Like a border, exactly.
Very detailed and sophisticated. Yes.
So I always love to add some fringing where I can.
Oh, I know. But I don't mind it either.
Oh, good to hear.
And I'm loving all these new beautiful lampshades. They're just divine.
Yeah, great.
Love them.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about timber panelling and architectural detailing.
So this seems to be a huge trend at the moment, and we've noticed it so much more. But timber panelling is making a big, strong impact.
Yeah.
Whether it's on ceilings, it could be on a ceiling in an alfresco dining area, or it could be on a ceiling on the interior. For example, the ceiling of your kitchen space, and that's all. It's making quite an impact on stairwells as well. Yeah, walls.
Well, Polytech, for instance, they've brought out all the scalloped, curved timber veneers.
Yeah.
That seems to be huge, doesn't it?
And gorgeous. Fantastic. And it only takes a small amount of it.
Yes.
It doesn't need to necessarily be everywhere.
It can be a feature.
It can be a feature.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've also noticed it around, island benches.
Yes, yeah.
That's, again, like you're saying, the curved pieces, and it almost looks like it's a circle.
Yes.
But in actual fact, it's just a beautiful curve sitting around the base of the island bench. It looks
stunning.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it just adds so much character, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And more so on cabinetry as well.
Yes.
We've noticed that, when we're selecting for clients, we are looking for something a little bit more individual and unique like that.
And there's so much more available.
And colour as well, in different colours.
Oh, yes.
Or in, different
greens.
Yes.
Lots of green cabinetry we've noticed.
Green and blues.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Beams, wainscoting, stairwells, cabinetry. There's a real appreciation for architectural detail, as we've just been discussing. But why are we doing it? It's because it adds warmth, character and depth to a space in a way that feels timeless.
Yeah.
Well, do you think it will be timeless?
Well, I think that if it's done beautifully and done well,
it will be.
I think it is timeless. Absolutely. Yeah. So
I'll ask you that again in 5 years.
Okay. Well, I think that I've done a lot of those things that you've just mentioned, Chrissy, for many, many, many years.
Yes.
So for over 25 years, actually. So
except for the new released products that I was just talking about.
well, that's true. That is true. But often those new released products are something that was done in the past, but just, redesigned.
And just using better materials
exactly.
to make it easier.
Or colour, isn't it?
True. Very true,
Well,
Caroline.
it's clear that 2025 is about personality, it's about texture and bold return of colour. And there's such a mix of timeless and, very contemporary areas and contemporary work done.
Yes.
And it's exciting to see how interiors are evolving.
Absolutely. Whether it's reimagining vintage pieces, embracing curves, or layering textures, design is feeling richer and more expressive than ever. And we love seeing people create spaces that truly feel like theirs.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. And we hope this has inspired you, the 2020 trends. And thanks for joining us. And
hang on, Caroline.
We'll see you.
We've got a myth.
Oh, we have.
You're
right.
A myth. Would you like me to say it to you?
Go for it.
Your paint colour needs to be the same throughout your house.
No. So I just, it's the worst thing that someone can do. It's have the same, have the same colour throughout. But, even having a feature wall or, like you were talking about before, Chrissy, colour drenching, how fabulous is that? Or a room that's just, filled with cabinetry or books or art. And, it's just, you have to have some areas that are different, defines the space, makes you feel good. Tiles in a bathroom. Imagine if you just did white from your front door to the back door.
Oh, it'd be like being in the dentist clinic.
Exactly, or an airport.
I just think white everywhere. People are sort of realising, well, while they might think, it creates flow and consistency, but it actually can make your spaces feel really flat and uninspiring.
Yes, I have to agree with you.
Don't you think?
It's just not the way that we love to roll. So
no. I just think if you thoughtfully choose colours that add depth, if you've got a cohesive palette with contemporary tones, this will make your rooms feel connected.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
Yep, absolutely, 100%. So you've got me on board there.
Mix it up, not as much white, and there's definitely not as much grey. Thank you, God.
Yeah, thank the Lord, exactly. Thank you. Thanks, Chrissy. That was great.
It's been fun to discuss trends.
Yep.
I never get tired of it, and nor do you, I think.
And it's not set in stone. We're saying these are in our opinion.
We're seeing.
But, of course, there is so many more trends that are coming and going.
And in 2026, we'll evaluate what we said today about 2025, see if they're still going, and then see what else is trending in 2026.
Good idea.
Okay, have a lovely day, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Bye.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's show. If you'd like to get in touch, email us on thedesignduet@gmail.com or DM us on our Instagram page, The Design Duet.